Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about how to design a training block or training cycle to put on a large amount of strength in a relatively short period of time. Normally a training block I do, and which is pretty standard, is 3 months. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is common sense things that a lot of people know about, but just like anything, common sense isn't always common. And I'm gonna have my own unique things I've learned over the years. I'm gonna bring in, so hopefully, you guys might learn something, or at least be reminded of something that could help you. And this is based on a lot of things I've pieced together, as well as my own, like I was saying, my own trial and error on what's worked for me. Okay, so as I was saying, a training block I normally do 3 months, which for me normally coincides with actual steroid cycle, but it's actually more like 4 months, because before you even get into the training block, you want to condition the muscles, specifically in the areas that you want to be training. For example, in not just muscles, tendons as well, and connective tissue. So for example, if you want to be putting on strength in your bench press, which is what I'm about to do, I'm going to enter a training block to do just that. You want to be doing probably like a good month of like volume work, training your triceps, your pecs, doing pec flies, doing dips, doing bench press, etc. But not obviously not going for like maxing out or anything, or even close to that, right? And so the most important thing is you're not going into a training block cold. It's simple as that. Okay, so it's actually the month before you can count as part of it, as just the preliminary month for it. Okay, going into the first month. Okay, this is when things are going to officially start. Now, in a week, generally, you want to be training the same part of the body twice. Okay, so if you're doing like a press day, so for example, I'll keep the example of doing a bench press, or like training for a bench press. You want to be training this area, the chest and the triceps, twice in the same week, correct? Now, not twice a week you're going to be necessarily doing a strength day, okay? And this is the one maybe unique aspect of what I'm going to bring to you, which I know other people probably have too, is, if you train triceps Mondays and Fridays, for example, or like press day, your Monday might be the strength day where you actually, progressively overload, and then the Friday might be more like isolation movements and a little bit more volume. You're not doing strength training. Now, what is it uniquely about the strength? What makes it strength training in this first month is what is a pretty standard strength training routine, which is the 5x5 method. A lot of athletes use it. It's been around for a long time. So, and then you just progressively overload the 5x5 for that first month. So, for example, the way I do it is I usually start with like 245s on it, which makes it 90, and then 225s, 90, that's 140 plus so it's like 195 or whatever, or 185, I can't think off the top of my head. And then I put, next week I put on 10 pounds on that, and then the next week I put 10 pounds on that, and next week I put 10 pounds on that. So that's the first month, right? But maybe by the third week I can only do that 5x5 for 4 sets instead of 5 sets. So then the next week I'm not going to add weight. I'm going to do that until I hit, hopefully, that 5 sets, the 5x5. Okay, so that's part of the progressive overload in the first month. Now, as I was mentioning, there's going to be the other day, which is going to be more of an isolation day. So for that day, I recommend training your weak spot more. And for like something like a bench press, like for me anyway, my weak spot, and I'm sure for a lot of people, is going to be the triceps to really lock out. So I recommend training the triceps more so on that day, but not like necessarily going like not the 5x5 or whatever. You can rep it out a little bit more, but nonetheless, you still want to be over the weeks with the reps or the weight itself, be still progressively overloading on those days as well. Now, that's the first month out of the way. Hopefully by that time your strength curve is increasing, and as well the steroid uses, and as well, I'm going to talk about this after, the food intake is going to be increasing, and it's all going to correspond into the second month when things kind of get kicked into a higher gear. Now, just like we're going to continue with the same thing. We're going to have the strength day, and then the isolation day. But the thing about the strength day is going to be the one that changes now. Is it's going to go from 5x5. You're still going to do the 5x5 with a lower weight, but then you're going to go a higher weight at the end for a 3x3. Okay, so for the first week, you might do the first few sets with a 5x5 weight, but then you keep stacking on plates until you reach a weight that you can only do 3 times. Okay, and you're going to do that for like the first 2 weeks. Do that, and then by like the last week, you're going to find out that weight where you can only do 3 times, and you're going to do like 5 sets of 3 reps of that weight. Okay, because now we're really getting into starting to test out what our max would be, because now you can calculate what your max actually should be at that point in time, and what the goal and what it realistically could be by the end of that 3rd month. There's a formula to do so, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's easy enough. If you look at the formula, you can, if you know how much you can rep out 3 times, then you very easily can estimate what your 1 rep max will be. So how it's going to change into then the last month is it's going to be the same kind of thing, which is progressively overloading and cutting the number of reps. Now you're still going to do warm-up sets, maybe with a lower weight at like a 5x5 type of thing, just like put on 100 or put on the 45s and put on the 25s, do 5 of those, and then maybe do a warm-up set with a 3x3, but then you're going to go into the singles. Okay, now that's going to be the major thing. Now the singles at the first few weeks aren't necessarily going to be maxing out, but it's going to be approaching that. Okay, and then you're going to progressively overload that last rep with a single, until this is all leading up to the last week of the last week, where you're going to do potentially, maybe you won't, maybe you won't do just 90%, but it could be 100%. Really test your max out. This is all what it's leading towards, right? And this is what I think the major thing of the strength, it's all, everything's leading up to that point in time where you're going to be testing your max, or at least coming really damn close. Okay, and when that time comes, whatever, you're going to do obviously a few warm-up sets, but I believe the warm-up sets shouldn't be 5x5s or anything, because you're just going to be adding fatigue. You just do a few warm-up sets, really lightweight of singles, just to get the motion down, just getting that motion down, muscle memory, motion down, boom. And then when it comes down to that last, you're maxing out, it should be just there. Okay. So hopefully that helps with you. The other thing, obviously I kind of mentioned before, is over time, over the period of the training block, you're going to be, if you're doing steroids, you're going to be adding more steroids, potentially especially in that last month. I always add a little bit more testosterone, a little bit more nandrolone, and potentially, pre-workout Anavar. I've done that in the past. It works. I might not do that in the future, but I've done it before. But the other aspect is you're going to be increasing food intake over the time, and I think this is a mistake people do when they go for a strength training block or something. They just go straight into eating a whole bunch of calories. I wouldn't do that. I would start off by just eating your normal caloric intake, and then progressively overload it. Just like you start off by just doing your normal weight, and then you progressively overload weight, and start off with a relatively low steroid cycle. Well, not low, but like your starting cycle, and then add that. Everything progressively overloads to that last point in time. So that's what I'm going to say is my strategy. There could be a few things that you could tweak, or maybe there's something that you could recommend to me, but I think it's a very solid method. And I think, again, to reiterate, the one thing that makes mine unique is, you're not going into the gym every time training strength. You're only be training strength once a week. Sometimes I've heard like Dorian Yates or someone else say that they only train, especially with legs, strength once every 2 weeks. Right? And then the other times they were just it was more volume, and then You know, if they really wanted to push strength, it would only be once every 2 weeks. So that's I've taken little bit points from a lot of all my sources and kind of formulated this strategy. Maybe there's other people in the past who've said the exact same thing. I don't know. I've never read anything or heard anything that's the exact same of what I just said. But I think it is a very sound strategy if you want to put on strength. And that's what I'm going to do now. I just finished a aggressive cut. So right now I'm in the preliminary stage. I'm in, as I was mentioning, which is just conditioning my muscles again, because my muscles might be a bit weak, and I lost a little bit of muscle mass from my aggressive cut. So I'm not going to go just jump into, trying to max out right now. I'd probably snap some shit up. So obviously you work towards that, and I think that's the other thing, which isn't so common in the common sense aspect, is a lot of guys just go and try to max out all the time, right, in their training cycle, and that's going to be counterproductive. You need to get a few reps in. It's okay, you're still going to gain strength on doing the 5x5s and the 3x3s eventually. Just stick with that. And progressive, in the last aspect, that's going to be the major thing, is the progressive overload. You have to keep adding weight. So I'll leave it there, guys. Leave your comments in the comment section, what your thoughts are about this video. Was I right? Was I wrong on some things? Tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's something that could be modified even with this that I should know. But leave in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.